Tabernacle. You said tabernacle. We were introduced to the tabernacle in Exodus. We just did a little study video today that will air in the Rock Harbor app later when we get to John 1.
Oh, fun.
And John uses this word about Jesus. Now,
yes, he does.
Just to catch us on the same page here, Old Testament's written in Hebrew. Carmen's been quoting Hebrew. But by the time of Jesus, it had been translated into Greek. It's called the Septuagint. And it's likely that Jesus and the people of Jesus' day would have read the Old Testament in Greek, in the Septuagint. And so the key wordplay in the New Testament is oftentimes drawing on the Greek translation of the Old Testament. And so when John says the Word, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Tabernacled.
The word for dwelt is tabernacled.
Yeah.
So connect those dots. I mean, I'm just giving, this is like a soft pitch.
Yeah.
Connect those dots of tabernacle in Exodus and Christ tabernacling with us.
The tabernacle, I mean, I understand that if you're doing a Bible read through, when you get to Exodus chapter 25, your antennas aren't like up for like life application. Because 25 through 40, there's a lot of chapters of mostly building instructions for a building you're never going to see, you're never going to build. And so why am I reading this? And I've spent the past year basically in the tabernacle. I actually have a Lego version of the tabernacle.
I've seen it.
So if you haven't been to my YouTube channel, I release weekly videos where I'm working my way through the tabernacle and like each part of it, and I hold up the Lego version of the part, and then we talk about how accurate or inaccurate it is, and just for fun to have something to look at. And so I understand that these chapters don't seem very exciting, but the big picture of the chapters are that Israel has just encountered a God who has heard their cries, who has rescued them from oppression. And now he's shown them his glory on the mountain. And it's just like amazing. The mountain is shaking. They're seeing clouds of billows of smoke. They're hearing a voice from the mountain. And God says to Moses, I want to live in your neighborhood. I want to dwell among you. And so the whole point of building the tabernacle was so that the God whose presence was so evident on top of the mountain would come down and fill this tabernacle. They all live in tents at this point. And so God moves into a tent so that he can be in the middle of their camp. And it's this extended camping trip through the wilderness. And so it's really good news that they have a tabernacle, because it means God's presence is with them. And it's not like they're saying goodbye to God as they leave Mount Sinai and go to the promised land. No, God's saying, I'm coming with you. I'm going to lead you wherever you need to go. So when John writes that the Word became flesh and tabernacled among us, he's saying it happened again, only it's better this time.
Yes.
Because we can actually see him. Yes. The tabernacle was carefully constructed to let everybody know God's presence is here, but don't get too close. Yeah. Because if you get too close, in the state you're in the sinful state you're in, you will be zapped. And that will be the end of the day for you and the end of your life. And so Jesus comes and he takes on human flesh and he lives among us, and we don't get zapped being in his presence. He's safe for us to be near. I was just making a video today about the tapestry that shields the way to the most holy place of Yahweh's tent. So inside that is the Ark of the Covenant. You've seen Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the one that if you take the lid off and look inside, your face melts, that one. So the only person who could approach that piece of furniture, which is the most important piece of furniture because it symbolizes that God's presence is there, the only person was the high priest, and he could only go in there one day a year to sprinkle blood on it as a way of atoning for the people's sins. And the day that Jesus died, Matthew, Mark, and Luke all tell us that the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. Yeah. And the book of Hebrews tells us that a way was opened up so that we could enter into God's holy presence. So it's not just God became flesh and dwelt among us, but Jesus' life and death fundamentally changed our relationship with God's presence so that we can come right into the presence of God, and we don't have a barrier anymore like there used to be. The barrier was good. It was for our own safety. But now, because of Christ's sacrifice, we don't need the barrier because we've been cleansed.
It makes me think that Eugene Peterson may not have been too far off the rails when he translated this as the Word became flesh and moved into the neighborhood.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, that's perfect.
I mean, that's like,
It's
it's
perfect.
very message paraphrase,
Yep.
but that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Moved into the neighborhood.
That's the message of Leviticus, is God's moved into the neighborhood.
Wow.